Hey there, gamers. Time for another top 5. It's been a while. I'm going to talk about two-player games. Now, I don't really play that many two-player games. In fact, all the two-player games I have basically fit in my vintage collection. Any two-player only games I have in my current collection are gone or just given away because I'm not really a big fan of those. But sometimes for the vintage ones, I have to keep them because I just think they're that awesome. So what would be my top 5? Well, here we go. Number 5 is the game Breakout. Yes, you can play it with multiple people, but it's only supposed to be with 2. Breakout is a great game. I don't know how expensive it is now, but you're trying to roll a die, bust out some bricks with a rammer jammer. It's a battery-operated thing that knocks off the blocks. It is so much fun. My wife and I could play this all night if we wanted to. It's just a great game, and she loves playing it. Everyone loves playing Breakout. Now, they have made cheaper versions of this game, like the Humpty Dumpty wall or something, but it's a little spade you're kind of chip the bricks out of. Except no substitutes, man. Knockout is, well, a knockout for my number 5. My number 4 is Battle Ball. Woo! This one is cheap to get. If you love football or your friend does, or even like just chuck and die, this is the one for you. It's like football of the future. All the minis are painted, pre-painted. It's got this die-cast metal football, and the rules are very simple. You're rolling the die and moving. If you come close to an opponent, you'll both roll die, and the lowest of those two numbers, win. And you're thinking, well, that's kind of pure luck. Well, no, there is a lot of strategy here because each player rolls a different sided die. The slowest players roll a 6-sided die, so they can't move very high or very far, but they can hit the hardest. And if you roll a 1, you take out that player for the rest of the game, not just the half. And you play 2 halves, and whoever gets 2 touchdowns wins, or if it's even, you play overtime. This is basically the same game again. I love it. I love this game. I think it's amazing. This game is for like $5, $10, or sometimes people give it away free at flea markets. This is such a great deal. And again, if you're into sports, no brainer. But even if you're not, I think this is a fun game for everyone because there's so many dice and there's fun little minis and it's football of the future. Such a great game. My number 3 is going to surprise a few people because they probably thought this would be my number 1, but it's Queen's Gambit. And here's the reason why I put Queen's Gambit so low. No one's going to play this unless you have like $700 to throw away and buy the game. The game's not worth that. Maybe at tops it'd be worth $150 just at face value. I think people would pay $150 to get a good deal out of it. But other than that, though, it's going for ridiculous amounts of money right now, and you just can't play it. But it's a shame because it's 3 different boards, or 4 different boards in a way, and you're playing these cards in your hand one at a time. You stack them in the order you want playing, and you're facing off against your opponent. They're the Trade Federation. You are the Gungans fighting a battle on one board. Or you're the Naboo trying to fight through all the droidicars and the old battle droids to get to the top of the tower. Or on the third board, on one half, you're Anakin trying to get through all the little ships to the mothership. Or on the other half, you're Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon fighting a very powerful Darth Maul. It is so thematic. It plays out like the last 20 minutes of episode 1. It is excellent. Now, for those of you who don't have the game, what should you do? They did retheme this in Star Wars Risk. I know that sounds awful, but they did. And they did it for the Battle of Endor. I look at it, even the black edition that looks kind of nicer, it looks good, but I will never play it because it's kind of Queen's Gambit light, But for people who love that experience of Star Wars Risk, maybe that's where this would fit. And if I lowered it to Star Wars Risk, which is what I kind of did in my mind, I'd put that one at number 3. I've not played Star Wars Risk yet, but I've seen it played. I've looked at the mechanics. It's very similar to Queen's Gambit. I like the Return of the Jedi theme. It's just, it ain't Queen's Gambit, let me just say that. But for those out there who can't get the game, you can get Star Wars Risk pretty easily. Number 2 is one you can still get easy online. It is Pro Action Football. When I say football, it is actually soccer for us in the U.S. This game is so stinking fun. You're flicking little characters across the board, and they got the soccer ball's metal, and they got this magnet ring on them. So when you slam them down, it kicks the ball, and you're trying to pass it to other people. You're thinking, how can I pass it? Man, you get pretty good at this game after a while, flicking and shooting and trying to shoot to score, and it's so much fun. And depending on where you put the mat, you put it on the carpet, the ball moves slower. You put it on a hardwood table, the ball moves faster. And it's just, I just love this game. And it's so much fun. I don't even like soccer. This is why it's number 2, because I hate the game soccer, but I cannot stop. Every time we play this game, you hit it, you just go, and you run around the room and everything. We get really silly with it. But another cheap game that people can get, and it is awesome at 2 players. But folks, what is the number 1 game? Well, the number 1 game was the number 1 game I had on my vintage list, of course. It is Battle Cry. Holy crow. It's a war game, but you're gathering cards that you can play on your right, center, or left flank. And you can only play if you have army there. So you're trying to maneuver all your people to make sure you have all your flanks covered, like in a real battle. You're making very military decisions. You're taking risks. You got to take the heel, or you got to use some of the objects and terrain in the game very thematically to get the upper hand on the opponent. And the game is so well balanced that they know exactly when the tide turns. They say, hey, even though I think you can gather up to, 10, 12 flags in a game, some games, they say, okay, whoever takes 8 flags will win first. You're thinking, no way. No way. And so me and my wife, when we were playing it, she got 8 flags, or I got 8 flags, or whatever, and we were like, I want to play some more, because I think I can beat you. Even though you won, I think I can come back. No, because once you've won X amount of battles, that's when the tide turns. And somehow the game has been play tested so well over the years, they know that. It's a phenomenal game. The pieces are nice. This version is the special edition. It may cost you a pretty penny to get, but you can get the old Avalon Hill version. I think the only differences are, well, obviously the plastic a little bit, but there's more scenarios in the special edition. But the Avalon Hill version, you can download all those scenarios and just play it the same, I think, and that one's pretty cheap. Battle Cry, right now, my number 1 favorite vintage game, and it had to be my number 1 favorite 2-player game. It is just very strategic. I mean, there is no luck involved, really. I mean, maybe luck of the cards you get, but even with the luck of the cards, you can form a strategy. Your strategy changes to what cards you have, to what special abilities you have. Oh my gosh, I played through every scenario at least once, some of them twice at this point. This is an amazing game and my number 1 2-player game for a guy that doesn't play 2-player games. All right, folks, that's it for now. Until next time, gamers, you know what to do. Game on!